And we're back again. Hi, this is Anna Buckle from timeanddate.com, and I'm here with Graham Jones, our astrophysicist in Japan, and we're looking at why the moon turns red. We've had quite a few questions from our viewers about why this actually happens. So I was hoping you could explain this to us, Graham.
Right. So it is a really fascinating question. Why does the moon turn red? If we think about what's happening on the surface of the moon, if we were standing on the moon at the moment, looking up into the sky, we would see the sun completely covered, completely blocked by the Earth, and we wouldn't be able to see any direct sunlight reaching us on the surface of the moon. Now, if the Earth was just simply a big rock in space, then that means that on the moon, everything would be in complete darkness because there would be no sunlight reaching the surface of the moon directly. However, the Earth is not just simply a big rock in space. It's surrounded by an atmosphere. It has an atmosphere of air, a layer of air which is about 100 kilometers thick. And this layer of air that surrounds the Earth, this is doing two really interesting things. And it's two things that are combining to give us this red color that we see on the surface of the moon. The first thing that is happening is we're getting scattering of sunlight. When sunlight enters the Earth's atmosphere, it scatters. It gets scattered in all directions, and different wavelengths get scattered at different amounts. And the blue part of the visible spectrum, light is a mixture of lots of different colors. The blue color gets scattered a lot, which is why when we're standing on the Earth and we look up at the sky, we see a beautiful blue sky. That is blue light from the sun getting scattered in the air by the Earth's atmosphere.
And we can already see from our tile, from our moon up in the corner there from Griffith Observatory, that it's actually starting to turn a little bit red because we're edging in towards the total phase of our eclipse.
Right, so we are just a couple of minutes away from the start of totality. So we are now going to start to see this reddish color. Any part of the moon that is already in the dark part of the Earth's shadow will already be this red color, but we can't really see it from here on the Earth until the whole of the moon has been covered by the Earth's shadow, because when we still have that little bright crescent, our eyes cannot adjust to the contrast, and we simply cannot see that red color until the whole of the moon has darkened, and then this color becomes apparent. Again, we've just switched to our picture from Morocco, and we can also see there. Yes, we can start to see it is. We are beginning to see this this little red color. Yes, yes. So going back to what is happening in the Earth's atmosphere, the first thing is that the light is being scattered. Blue light is being scattered away, scattered out of the sunlight. The second thing that is happening is that sunlight is being bent. This is something called refraction. It's something you can see if you have a glass of water and you put a drinking straw in it. You can see that the straw appears bent as the light comes from the air into the water and out into the air again. It's bending, it's changing direction, and it gives us this very bent image of a drinking straw in a glass of water. Well, the same thing is happening to the light from the sun. the first thing that's happened is that all the blue light is getting scattered away, so it's becoming reddish. And then this reddish light is being bent by the Earth's atmosphere, and it's being bent towards the moon. So even though the moon is hiding in that dark part of the Earth's shadow, even though the moon can't see the Earth directly, the Earth's atmosphere is bending this reddish sunlight around the Earth and sending it towards the moon.
Is it always red?
It's it can be a variety of reddish tints. It does depend on what is happening in the Earth's atmosphere. It depends on the situation with clouds. If there have been things like volcanic eruptions which throw a lot of particles up into the Earth's atmosphere, this can affect the scattering of light, and it means that the color of the sunlight that is being bent towards the moon can take on different shades. So sometimes it is a very pinky red, sometimes it's a very muddy brownish red. As we are looking at the pictures here, it does seem on these pictures to be a slightly darkish red. Although, of course, the best way to really judge the color is to get outside and have a look at it directly, because, of course, the colors we're seeing on the screen here, these are dependent on the equipment that we're using to bring you these pictures. It depends on the camera and on the filters. But yes, every lunar eclipse does have a slightly different shade to it.
And we're coming up towards pretty much the totality now. How many minutes left? We've got a couple of minutes left.
Right. Well, we are into totality.
We are. Yep.
Now, yes, totality began just about a minute ago. We can still see that the top right corner of the moon, as we're looking at the pictures here from Los Angeles, that's still looking a little bit brighter than the rest of the moon. That's because that part of the moon has only just moved into the full dark part of the Earth's shadow. But we are now into totality. The only light that is reaching the moon is this reddish light that is not reaching the moon directly. It's being bent around the Earth and sent towards the surface of the moon.
It's very cool. So now we're going to look at this for another hour to look at this becoming deeper red, you think?
That's right. So as the moon moves deeper into the umbra, as it moves deeper into the dark part of the Earth's shadow, yeah, we will see this reddish color change, and it should become a deeper red. In half an hour's time, we will be at maximum eclipse. This is the point where the moon is at its deepest point in the umbra. At that stage, we should be seeing a very different kind of red tint to what we're seeing at the moment, at the very beginning of totality.
So if you have clear skies, now is the time to run out and watch totality, watch the moon become redder and redder, and come back to us and let us explain a bit more about why this happens on timeanddate.live. Send us your questions at live@timeanddate.com and hashtag your pictures at timeanddate.live. hello again. So at the moment, we have a map showing all our locations that some of them we're streaming from, some of them you're not really seeing images from at the moment because that's how eclipses go, right, Graham?
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, we have been looking at some beautiful pictures from Ouarzazate, from our team in Morocco. We've been looking at some beautiful pictures from the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles. You and I have also been looking at our little screen of live feeds from our different locations around the world, and you know, we've been looking at a lot of black squares on the screen because we have been really struggling with clouds around the world with our locations tonight. So on the screen now we have our 5 locations. So firstly, on the right hand side, that is Ouarzazate. That is the picture we are seeing in the top right corner of our screen at the moment. Over on the left side of our screen, we have Los Angeles in California. Our great friends at the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles. They have had some luck with the weather and the clouds tonight, and they have been providing us with some great images from Los Angeles. Beautiful images, right. Now, just to the right of Los Angeles, we have a little marker in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have had Theo Wellington, who has been out in Warner Park, which is about 8. Right. It's so this is just outside of Nashville, and it's there's a wonderful nature park there called Warner Park, and tonight they are having a big star party with hundreds of people coming from Nashville out to watch this eclipse from Warner Park. But, well, we've been looking at the pictures from there, and we have occasionally seen a very pale moon, just very briefly appearing through the clouds. But before we can bring you any pictures on our live stream, it's disappeared again. They have really been struggling with cloud and with rain and with snow, and everything has been happening in Nashville. Theo does tell us that they have been roasting marshmallows there, at least they're having fun. Right. I mean, so it sounds like everybody is having fun, and I mean, sometimes if all you manage to do is just catch a brief glimpse of the eclipsed moon through the clouds, you know, that can be fun, trying to spot the moon through breaks in the clouds. But we're really sorry that we haven't been able to bring you any pictures from Nashville so far. And you know, this is all so far. Maybe we can get some luck, and maybe some clouds will be clearing later on.
And the same for Kourou. Right.
So in Kourou, we have our friends at the European Space Agency office at the European Spaceport in Kourou, and well, they've been set up there for the last few hours, patiently waiting for some break in the cloud. But they are also struggling with rain there in Kourou in French Guiana. So again, we haven't been able to bring you any pictures from there. That is Cléciane de Costa Maciel and the great ESA team in Kourou. we really hope we can bring some pictures from there later on as well. Finally, our southernmost location is in Cordoba, in Argentina, at the Institute of Theoretical and Observational Astronomy in Cordoba. We have Diego and his team there in Cordoba. Again, we've been struggling with clouds and with weather down there in Argentina, and we've been unable to bring any live pictures from that location either. So yeah, so far we've had some pretty bad luck, Anna.
Well, we've got some good images from Ouarzazate and from Griffith, so we should be happy about that. And Ouarzazate, we've been practicing that name because it was only chosen because of its special quality of having low cloud cover. And down there we have Time and Date Mobile Observatory, and our CEO here at Time and Date, Stefan Thorsen, is there graciously streaming the moon for us. We're very happy about that. And when we come back, we'll have a little chat with him and hear if he's freezing his fingers off, if he's struggling with clouds, or if he's doing okay down in Morocco. So follow us on timeanddate.live, ask questions at live@timeanddate.com, and hashtag your photos timeanddate.live. Hello, here we have Stefan right above Graham's head there on the screen. Hi, Stefan.
Hi, Anna.
How are things in Morocco?
It's very nice. The sky has been clear all night, and the forecast wasn't, well, it was a bit, some cloud coverage was expected, so we have been really lucky here. We had some problems sometimes connecting internet-wise, but it has been really good. The wind has been shaking the telescope a little bit from time to time, but now it's less windy again. So we're quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're really enjoying the images from Morocco here in Stavanger. So we're happy that you chose to go to Ouarzazate. Why did you choose to go there?
Now, we did use our own, Eclipse map service and our own cloud cover thing there to sort of find which places were the best places to go. And it came out quite quickly that Europe was, there was no really good locations in Europe. You could expect 50% or more cloud chance most places in Europe. And we would really maximize chances of seeing the eclipse. So we saw that there were some good locations in South America and in Western Africa. So, of course, Western Africa is much shorter to travel to than South America. And we found sort of this spot here in Ouarzazate to be quite nice in terms of both being sort of a city with internet connectivity and also a cloud cover chance of less than 20%. Which has been really good for us now because it's very nice. And the clouds, we made a time lapse yesterday just to see how things looked, and you see the clouds coming in from the north, but they sort of just disappear before they come here. So it's fucking magic.
You're on the right side of the mountains, right?
Yeah, the Atlas Mountains. They are up to 4,000 meters high, and they are sort of. Stopping the bad weather from the north to come to the south, and we are on the tip of Sahara as well. So we are really in a place which is, there isn't much rain and much clouds. Yeah.
That's good because we've got that everywhere else. And what kind of equipment do you need to take to do something like this?
Now we have a lot of equipment. We have a telescope, isn't so big, and quite a few PCs and quite a bit of internet devices to get connected through whatever Wi-Fi's and cellular and whatever we can find. And part of the struggle here has been we have had 2 days to prepare here, and we had sort of had spent quite some time to get good connectivity. And it's been stable most of the time. We have 2 dropouts so far, but we have been quite fortunate to have relatively good internet connection.
It's very good to hear. And it looks very cold. Is it cold?
Yeah, I have 4 layers of clothes here, but no, it's a bit. But sitting still is a bit sort of cold, but it was. It was much windier yesterday, and that would have been much colder, so we aren't that bad.
That's good. That's good.
And we have a great view just looking up. You can just sort of look at the moon up there, so that's a fantastic place to be, watching this live with my own eyes as well as filming it to all our viewers.
Are you jealous, Graham?
Well, I am. I mean, I have to say, Stefan is looking very cold there, so I'm possibly slightly less jealous than I was 6 months ago when Stefan was in Santorini in the Greek summer covering the last eclipse. Stefan, you really have one of the best views anywhere on the nighttime side of the Earth, it would seem. Are there many people out watching the eclipse? Has there been much of a buzz there about the eclipse happening tonight?
Not that I know. There are morning prayers at the moment. You might hear them in the background. Other than that, it's just us and the dogs in the neighborhood, which has been having out this morning. So we haven't seen anything, read anything about this eclipse here, but we have been in a bit of our own bubble here, so we haven't really sort of done, socialize with the locals in a way. So we don't really know if the people here really care or know about this thing.
Well, we're very happy that you care, Graham. No, Stefan, because if not, we wouldn't have these beautiful images coming from for us from Ouarzazate in Morocco. Thank you so much for talking to us. And thank you to you guys watching us, and come back soon on timeanddate.com/live. Welcome back. And we've got a great illustration coming up here on our screen. It's about lunar eclipse magnitudes, because this eclipse is a little bit shorter than the one we looked at in July last year, isn't it, Graham?
Well, that's right, Anna. In fact, here we are. We're about 8 minutes away from the end of totality. Tonight, totality will be lasting 62 minutes in total, and that is considerably shorter than when we were here 6 months ago for the total lunar eclipse of July 2018. And we talked earlier about how this was because the moon is going into the Earth's umbra, into the dark part of the Earth's shadow, to different depths. And there are actually some numbers we can put on this to talk about exactly how far into the umbra the moon is going.
And at the moment, we're looking at our max for this one at a 1.2. What does that mean?
That's right. Well, the illustration we have on the screen here, this is showing the magnitude of a lunar eclipse. This is the number we use to talk about how far into the Earth's shadow the moon is traveling. Now, when the moon just starts to enter that dark inner part of the Earth's shadow, this is the picture number 2 as we come across from the left of the screen, as the penumbral eclipse turns into a partial eclipse. As the moon starts to enter that dark red circle, this is zero magnitude. Basically, the magnitude is a fraction. It's the fraction of the moon's diameter that is covered by the umbra. So at the beginning of the partial eclipse, it's 0. In the middle of our illustration, we can see that the moon is half covered by the umbra. This gives us a magnitude of 0.5 because half of the moon's surface is covered by that red inner part of the Earth's shadow. As we continue moving across to picture number 4 in our diagram, as the moon fully enters the umbra, at this point exactly all of the moon's surface is covered by the umbra. That gives us a magnitude of 1. And then the moon moves deeper into the umbra. Now, 6 months ago, the moon really passed through the very center of the umbra. That gave us a magnitude of 1.6. It went right through the very center. So it took an hour and 3/4 to make its journey all the way across the umbra. So it had a very big magnitude. Tonight, the moon is passing more towards the top part of the umbra, not quite through the middle. The magnitude is less. It's 1.2 tonight. That means the moon is spending less time in the darkest part of the Earth's shadow, and that's why we have a shorter totality tonight. And in fact, totality will be finishing in 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. And what will we expect to happen then? Does the magnitude go back down, or is the magnitude a number that adjusts itself as to where the shadow is?
Well, that's right. So throughout every part of the eclipse, the magnitude is changing. At the maximum eclipse, which was about half an hour ago, this was when the moon was at its deepest point into the Earth's umbra. At maximum eclipse, we had the magnitude of 1.2. Since then, the magnitude has been falling because the moon has been getting closer and closer to the edge of the umbra. In about a minute's time, as we go from the total phase back into another partial phase, that's when the magnitude will come back to 1.
Yeah.
Because at that stage, all of the moon is within the umbra, but no more. It's only just on the very edge of the umbra.
And when we go back in,
right, and then when we move into the partial phase, then the magnitude will fall from 1 through to 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, all the way down to 0 when the second partial phase finishes and we go back into another penumbral stage.
And totality ending pretty much right now, isn't it? I can't see our timeline at the moment. Can you see it, Graham?
Yes, so totality is ending right about now. That's right. Again, we don't get any sudden shifts with a lunar eclipse. It's just it's always just a very gentle transition between these phases. But yes, totality is finishing now. We're back into another partial phase, and this means that we will see the moon start to move out of the umbra, move out of that dark part of the Earth's shadow, and that natural grey silvery color of the moon will start to be restored over the next hour or so as the moon moves completely out of the umbra. So the moon is going back from red back to its normal silver and grey color.
And opposite of what we were looking at when we were looking at we're going towards the totality.
That's right. It's exactly the same thing, just happening in reverse now. So yes, before we saw the moon getting eaten away by the Earth's shadow, now the moon is slowly getting spat out again from the Earth's shadow. It's getting uncovered once again.
And we'll have a look at that. If you guys can see this in the sky, lucky you, because we're watching it on the screen here. And check in on us again at timeanddate.live. Hello, we're back again, and we've been looking at those beautiful images from Griffith Observatory and from Morocco. And but right now we've brought up a quite complicated diagram / illustration that I was hoping that you could explain to us, Graham.
Right. Okay, so the situation tonight is that totality has finished. And we do know that the next totality, the next time we see the moon totally eclipsed, this will not happen for another 2.5 years. We have a very long gap coming up with no more totality, with no more total lunar eclipses. And there is a good question, you know, why do we have to wait so long for the next total lunar eclipse? In fact, an even better question is why do we have to wait more than a month for the next lunar eclipse? Because a lunar eclipse happens at full moon. It's when you have the sun, the earth, and the moon aligned. So the earth is exactly between the sun and the moon. And this is when we have a full moon in the sky. And this is when lunar eclipses happen. So another question is, you know, why don't lunar eclipses happen every month? And the illustration that we have on the screen now is going to help us to explain why we don't get an eclipse every month. What we're looking at here in the middle of the diagram, we have the sun, and then going around the sun, we have the earth. That's the blue circle going around the sun. And then going around the earth, we have the moon. That is the gray circle that is going around the earth. Now, the key thing that this diagram is showing is that the moon's orbit around the earth is not on the same plane as the Earth's orbit around the sun. The moon's orbit around the earth is tilted by about 5 degrees. And over on the left of our illustration, we can see what the result of this tilt is. On the left-hand side of the picture, we can see a new moon and a full moon. At the very far left of the picture, we can see the full moon to the left of the Earth as we're looking at it. If you were on the nighttime side of the Earth, looking up, you would see a beautiful full moon in the sky. But we can also see on this diagram that we would not get an eclipse in this situation, because although the sun, the earth, and the moon are more or less aligned, the moon is actually too low to go into the earth's shadow. So we're not getting a lunar eclipse in this situation. And for most new moons, for most full moons, this is what happens. We can see a full moon in the sky, but the moon is just either a little bit below or a little bit above the earth, and so it's not passing into the earth's shadow. This is also the reason why we don't get solar eclipses every month. If we look at the moon just to the right of the earth on the left-hand side of the picture, that is a new moon as we look at it from the earth. Again, there we're not getting a solar eclipse because in this situation the moon is just a little bit too high. We can see the moon's shadow stretching out into space, but it's not reaching the earth because the moon is just above where the earth is on our diagram there. So for most new moons, for most full moons, we have more or less an alignment between the earth and the moon and the sun, but it's not a perfect alignment. So there is no eclipse. But every 6 months or so, we do get this perfect alignment. And if we look at the two examples in the middle of our diagram, we can see here that the moon's tilted orbit around the Earth lines up perfectly with the Earth's orbit around the sun. And if we take a look at the Earth at the bottom of the screen there, just this side of the Earth, we can see a moon that is passing through the Earth's dark umbral shadow on the other side of the Earth. Now. Right, and this is the situation we had tonight. The moon has gone through that darkest part of the Earth's shadow, but this is quite a rare thing. Normally, the moon is too high or too low, and for the moon to pass through completely the Earth's shadow, well, that's where we have to wait a long time. For this to happen again, we have to wait 2.5 years. In another 6 months' time, we will have another lunar eclipse, but this will just be a partial lunar eclipse. Only part of the moon's disk will pass through that dark part of the Earth's shadow. It won't be a total lunar eclipse because we're not going to get that perfect alignment between the sun and the Earth and the moon.
And that alignment has a quite a funny name, doesn't it? I have problems saying it. Syzygy?
You said it beautifully there, Anna.
I practiced a lot.
Yes, syzygy, right. It's an astronomical term. When you have three bodies in perfect alignment, it is a syzygy, yes.
So in a way, we're in eclipse season right now. You, in Japan, did you manage to view a partial eclipse earlier this month? Or was it too cloudy?
Right. Well, that's now you've introduced the other very important thing that comes out of this diagram. If we look at that bottom Earth at the bottom of the screen, as you've said, tonight we have been in that lunar eclipse where the moon has passed through the Earth's shadow. Now, 2 weeks ago we had a new moon. 2 weeks ago we were looking at the situation where we have the moon just the other side of the Earth, the moon passing between the sun and the Earth. Now, because at the moment we have this perfect alignment between the moon's tilted orbit and the Earth's orbit around the sun, this means that 2 weeks ago when we had the new moon, we also had a great alignment between the sun and the moon and the Earth. So 2 weeks ago, we did have a partial solar eclipse that was visible across Northeast Asia.
We've got the map up right now showing us where we could see it.
Okay, right. So this map, this is now showing where the moon's shadow was crossing the Earth. Now, this wasn't a perfect alignment 2 weeks ago because the perfect alignment came tonight. That's why we had the total lunar eclipse tonight. That is when the sun, the Earth, and the moon were exactly aligned. 2 weeks ago, the three bodies were almost aligned, but not quite as perfectly because this was 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, during the new moon, we had a solar eclipse, but it wasn't a total solar eclipse. It was only a partial solar eclipse, and it only covered this very small part of the Earth's globe, part of the North Pacific and Northeast Asia. And yes, this was the partial solar eclipse of 2 weeks ago. And
can you have a partial? Can you have two perfect eclipses? Can you have a total solar eclipse and a total lunar eclipse in the same season?
You cannot have two total eclipses together, because you can never have that perfect alignment lasting for that long. If you're going to get a total lunar eclipse, you would have a partial solar eclipse either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after it. If you have a total solar eclipse, then you would have a partial lunar eclipse or a penumbral lunar eclipse coming 2 weeks before or after it. And by the way, so Anna, you did ask if I'm here in Japan, and you did ask if we managed to see this 2 weeks ago, and the answer is no. I seem to be cursed on weather at the moment. We've had so much problems with our various feeds from around the world tonight. I'm afraid also 2 weeks ago here in Japan, we had a very, very cloudy January 6th, and we saw none of the partial solar eclipse 2 weeks ago.
But hopefully in 6 months, in the next eclipse season, we might be able to see the solar eclipse. And if we can get up that map, you can explain, because this is a total solar eclipse.
Okay, so after tonight, the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun, the alignment goes. The Moon's tilted orbit takes us out of this alignment. So for the next series of new moons and full moons, we will have no eclipses until in 6 months' time, the Moon's tilted orbit comes back into perfect alignment with the Earth's orbit around the Sun. And this time, it will be perfectly aligned at new moon. And this will give us a total solar eclipse. We're looking here at the map of the total solar eclipse of July the 2nd this year. The light grey area is showing the part of the globe that will see a partial solar eclipse. In the very middle of that grey area, we have that very, very narrow red line that starts in the South Pacific and ends in Argentina, very close to Buenos Aires. This very narrow red strip is the path of totality. This is the area where a total solar eclipse will be visible, but that is a very, very narrow path. It's only about 100 kilometers wide. But if you can get to somewhere on that narrow red path, it's passing through Chile and through Argentina, then that is where the next total eclipse will be happening, the total solar eclipse on July 2nd. And
what's the difference between a solar eclipse then and a lunar eclipse when you can only see it in a narrow 100 kilometer belt like that, like you explained? Why are they so different?
Right. Well, the big difference between the two eclipses is that the Earth is much bigger than the Moon, so the Earth's shadow is much bigger than the Moon's shadow. So when the Moon is passing through the Earth's shadow, it can get completely swallowed up by the dark part of the Earth's shadow. Whereas the Moon is much smaller, its shadow is much smaller as it extends out into space, and by the time it reaches the Earth, the darkest part of the Moon's shadow, the umbra, it's narrowed to just this very narrow strip of this sort of 100 kilometer wide area. That's as small as it's got by the time it reaches the Earth. So the Earth only just touches the very edge of the Moon's umbra, and that's why you have to be in exactly the right place at exactly the right time to see a total solar eclipse. To see a total lunar eclipse is easy. You just have to be anywhere on the nighttime side of the Earth, because the whole of the Moon has got eaten up by the Earth's shadow.
And that's our cue to get up that map we were showing earlier with our locations. Here we have it. We show that here there's no belt. It's where it's dark. That's where you can see the total lunar eclipse.
That's right. That's right. Now the only difference we have in shading is on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. Of course, the thing to remember is that the Earth is rotating, and that this eclipse is lasting for a few hours. So some parts of the globe will be entering the nighttime side of the Earth as the eclipse is in progress, and other parts of the globe will be leaving the nighttime side of the Earth. The sun will be rising, it will be dawn, and they will be entering the daytime side of the Earth. So over on the right-hand side of this map, the different shadings show where the moon will be setting during the eclipse. On the very right-hand side, the part going through East Africa, well, the moon set during the penumbral stage of the eclipse, or it's set during the partial stage of the eclipse. During that, if we look down the middle band of those group of bands, the band that goes through Turkey, well, there dawn came, the moon set during the total stage of the eclipse. So that's the only difference with these different shadings on this map. But yeah, with a lunar eclipse, you just have to be on the nighttime side of the Earth. And of course, the other thing we know, Anna, is that you need a clear sky.
Yeah, we've learned that definitely tonight.
We've learned that tonight.
So let's cross our fingers that we keep our clear skies until we're done showing you the rest of this total lunar eclipse. Please keep viewing. We'll take a short break and we'll be back soon. Hello, we're back at timeanddate.com here with Graham Jones from Japan and Time and Date here from Stavanger. And we've done this a few times before, haven't we, Graham? So we've managed to make quite a few friends around the globe.
That's right, and it's been really nice. This evening, tonight, we have been welcoming back some of our old friends from previous eclipses. So in Nashville tonight, we have Theo Wellington, who has been at a star party in Warner Park in Nashville. And sadly, we have not been able to bring any eclipse images from Nashville. We do have a note from Theo to say that it's -6 degrees centigrade in Nashville. They've had problems with snow. The weather has been awful, but they've had 150 people came out from Nashville to Warner Park tonight to try to catch a glimpse of the moon, and that is a fantastic turnout for a very snowy January night in Nashville.
And hopefully they did catch a glimpse in between the clouds.
We hope they've caught a glimpse in between the clouds. Theo says they have had the Time and Date stream up on a screen inside the Nature Center, so people have been able to follow the images from Morocco and from Los Angeles. But yeah, it's Theo is a very good friend of timeanddate.com, and
then yes, also we had a message from Matt in Perth at Perth Observatory, and they have been shouting out for us streaming our eclipse because they can't see it. They're not on the night side of the Earth. But last time and the time before, they were actually helping us stream the eclipse. So hi to Matt.
Yes, yeah, big fan. Yeah, Matt Woods at the Perth Observatory. Yes, Perth is very much on the daytime side of the Earth at the moment. So no eclipse for Australians today. But yeah, thank you to Matt, another old friend who has been doing giving us some great support on the internet today. And
we've been talking a lot about Kourou. And we consider them good friends. They helped us stream the solar eclipse when our first time Graham and we were talking through a live stream, and they've been struggling with a bit of rain and not being able to give us any images this time. But they do other fun stuff at the European Space Agency in French Guiana, don't they, Graham?
Well, they do, yes. So they are all. We should say they are still all there, set up and waiting in Kourou. And we have a message from Cléciane in Kourou to say they are still there. They are waiting, and they are still hoping that the moon is going to show herself before the end of the partial phase. So. We are still still fingers crossed. We are still hopeful to bring you some pictures from Kourou. But yes, Anna, yes, these are also very good friends of timeanddate.com. This is the European Space Agency's office at the European Spaceport in Kourou in French Guiana, and Anna, we've had some questions coming in, and I think we're about to talk about some of the questions that people have been sending in. And a question that people are always very interested in is why does the European Space Agency, why does it have its launch facilities in the South American jungle? That is a very good question. In fact, last week we talked to Charlotte Besco, who is the head of the ESA office at the spaceport in Kourou, and we put this question to Charlotte to try to get the authoritative answer on why the European spaceport is in French Guiana. Well, the key reason, of course, is that French Guiana is not a populated area. There's not many people living in the area. There are not many facilities in that area. So if something does go wrong with a rocket launch, then it's not a populated area where problems are happening. Another important reason for putting the spaceport in Kourou is that rockets and missions can be launched either to the east or to the north. Now, I think a little while ago we had a picture of the map.
Have the globe up. Let's try getting that globe up again.
And if we can get that globe back up,
there it is.
There is okay, and this globe shows us that Kourou is in this unique position, in that to the east and to the north there is the Atlantic Ocean. So if ESA are launching rockets to the east, if you're putting a rocket into geostationary orbit, you're launching to the east. Well, there we can see you have a clear path across the Atlantic to the east. If you are launching to the International Space Station, or if you're launching into a polar orbit, you're going to be launching to the north. And we can see from this globe picture that there's also a very clear path to the north into the Atlantic Ocean, yeah. from Kourou. So it is this very unique position where missions can be launched either to the east or to the north. It's also outside of the area of cyclones and earthquakes, and also French Guiana is part of France. It's a French territory, and for all those reasons, the European spaceport is there in French Guiana. We should say, of course, it's out of the cyclone area. It's not out of the rainy area, and there is quite a bit of rain in French Guiana. That doesn't normally affect the launch of a rocket. They're okay launching if there's a bit of rain normally, but of course rain and cloud is a disaster if you are live streaming a total lunar eclipse, and that's the problem that we've had tonight from Kourou.
And we have a whole list of questions. I've got them printed out here, and we can have a look at those. We can take down the globe and get that beautiful view of the moon back, and we can go to our questions. So Toby, he's wondering, what's the story with the red moon?
Right, the story with the red moon. Yes. So during totality, the Earth was completely blocking sunlight from reaching the moon directly. The only way that sunlight could get to the moon and illuminate the moon was by being bent by the Earth's atmosphere. There's two things that's happening. First, the sunlight is getting filtered. It's getting scattered by the Earth's atmosphere. That's turning it a reddish color. And then the Earth's atmosphere is also bending the sunlight around the Earth and sending it towards the moon. So the moon is being bathed in this filtered and bent red light. It's all thanks to the Earth's atmosphere. It's filtering the sunlight. It's bending the sunlight. That's where the red color of the moon is coming from during totality.
So Michael's question, which is, how does the lights from the sun go around the Earth to hit the moon and create a red light, is basically because the light is bended by the atmosphere, and then.
That's right. The sunlight is coming from the vacuum of space into the Earth's atmosphere, and then it's leaving the Earth's atmosphere and going back into space. And every time the light is passing between those different mediums, it's getting bent. This is why when you look into a swimming pool, and if the swimming pool looks very, very shallow, it's because the same thing is happening. The light is getting bent as it comes from the water into the air. It's exactly the same thing that's happening as the light is going through the Earth's atmosphere. It's bending the light.
And we have a question from Ricardo. He says, here in Belo Horizonte, it's the opposite, both penumbra and umbra, than Morocco. Why?
Right. Okay. Well, that's a great question. I think there he's talking about the orientation of the Earth's shadow as we see it on the moon. We can actually see a very good example of that on the screen right now. Our main picture that we're looking at is coming from Los Angeles, from the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles. The smaller picture in the top right-hand corner is coming from our Time and Date mobile observatory in Morocco. And you can see that the shadow is in a different position as we are looking at these two moons on our screen. Now, we should say here that that we are, from both locations, we are looking at exactly the same side of the moon, and we're looking at exactly the same shadow. The only difference is the orientation of the moon. Los Angeles, over on the west coast of America, we are closer to moonrise here. The moon rose a few hours ago, and it's making its way across the sky. In Morocco, we're getting very close to moonset, and as the moon moves across the sky, it is slowly turning, and the orientation of the moon is slowly changing as it makes its way across the sky. So that's the difference that we're seeing between Los Angeles and Morocco. For people in South America, in the southern hemisphere, another difference is the difference between the north and south hemisphere. The moon is the opposite way around in the sky in the north and southern hemisphere. So another difference that's at play there is the different orientation of the moon from the different hemisphere of the Earth, north and south, as well as east and west.
And Michael Miller, he's asking, how does the moon get its red color? Now, we've actually answered that question quite well, but he wanted to let us know that his 10-year-old daughter and myself are watching this on our webcast and from the warmth of our house window, so they actually managed to see it.
Oh, well, that's great stuff. We're delighted to hear that some people have been able to see this eclipse tonight.
Because it is quite magical when you see it live, isn't it?
Oh, when you see, I mean, when you see it right now, when you see a moon that's sort of half eaten away like this, or when you see that pinky red moon during totality, it is an absolutely, it can be a very eerie sight. So yeah, it is one of the great wonders of the natural world.
Cole, he's wondering, when will the totality be reached in my area?
Right. Okay. Well, that is that is a good question. Of course, everybody is seeing this at different times because people are in different time zones. So over on the west coast of America, this all started in the early evening in Los Angeles. For example, the partial eclipse started at 7:30 in the evening, whereas in Morocco, the partial eclipse started at 4:30 in the morning. So there is a difference with different time zones. Of course, one thing we should point out is that there is no difference in when people see the eclipse start. We know that with a solar eclipse, you really have to check the local times for your location, because this is the moon's shadow moving across the earth. So depending on your location, the moon's shadow will be reaching you at a different time. The big difference with a lunar eclipse is that we're all watching the same show at exactly the same time. So the timeline that we're seeing along the bottom of the screen, this is showing us that the partial phase of the eclipse will be finishing in about 15 minutes. Now, we're all seeing different orientations of the moon. It's different times for all of us in different parts of the world, but we all see the end of the partial eclipse at exactly the same time, because we're all watching the same thing. We're all looking up at the same side of the moon, and we're seeing the same Earth's shadow moving across it.
Yeah. So Eliana is wondering, when is the next blood moon?
The next blood moon, yes. The next total lunar eclipse, to get this very perfect alignment between the sun, the earth and the moon, we have to wait about 2.5 years for that. It will be May 26th, 2021. So that's the year 2021. May 26th. This totality will be visible again from North and South America, also from Eastern Asia and Australia and New Zealand. But you'll have to be quick. You will have to be quick to see it, because this totality in May 2021, it will only last for 14.5 minutes.
Wow.
That's 14 minutes.
That's very short,
minutes.
isn't it?
That is very short, right? The moon is only just dipping into the Earth's umbra. The magnitude is only going a little bit above 1. It is a very short total lunar eclipse. So yes, May 26th, 2021.
Now, Andrew, he's wondering, what would Earth look like if I was standing on the moon? Can you see the sun's corona like in a solar eclipse?
Yeah, that's a great question. If we go back to totality, this is when all of the moon turned that red color. If we were standing anywhere on the side of the moon that is facing us, if we looked up into the sky, we would see a very dramatic sight. We would see the Earth blocking the sun. So we would just see this black Earth. We'd be looking at the nighttime side of the Earth above us on the moon. It would be blocking the sun, but all around the edge of the Earth, we would see the sunlight being filtered and being bent towards us. So as we look up at the Earth, we would see it surrounded by this sort of red halo. And it is that red halo that gives the moon its red color. That's kind of acting as like a sort of a red lamp in the sky shining down on the moon. So it would be quite a spectacular sight, looking up at that red halo around the dark nighttime side of the Earth from the moon. we wouldn't be able to see the solar corona. It wouldn't be like a solar eclipse on the Earth where we'd be able to see that very kind of faint and ghostly solar corona. All we'd be able to see would be this this very thin red halo surrounding the Earth. That would be all of the red sunlight being filtered and bent towards us. An interesting thought there, of course, is that what we'd actually be looking at when we see that red halo, we would be looking at the area where the nighttime side of the Earth meets the daytime side of the Earth, because facing towards us as we look at it on the moon, we would have the nighttime side of the Earth. Facing away from us would be the daytime side of the Earth. Between those two areas, we would have this red glow, and we can see this red glow ourselves twice a day, in fact, at sunrise and sunset, when the sky turns that sort of spectacular pinky red color. That is exactly what you would be able to see from the moon looking up at the Earth during a total lunar eclipse. You're essentially looking at all of the sunrises and all of the sunsets taking place on the Earth. You're seeing them all at the same time.
I've never thought about it that way.
Right, it would be a spectacular sight.
So I think that was our last question for today. So we will round off this right now, and then we'll come back in a little while. Well, hello, we're back. I'm Anna Buckle at timeanddate.com, and I'm here with Graham Jones, our resident astrophysicist. Hi, Graham. We've been there for a few hours now.
What are we coming up to? 4 hours we've been here tonight. And wow, we've had some drama with the weather tonight. We've been looking at a lot of black screens on our internal feeds here, but we have managed to show some spectacular moon pictures from Los Angeles and from Ouarzazate in Morocco, and they have been beautiful pictures. And we were just looking at some great pictures in our gallery there as well, which some of our viewers have sent in as well. So although we've had a lot of rain in a lot of parts of the world tonight, I think quite a few people have managed to enjoy this eclipse tonight.
Exactly, as much as we've enjoyed it. It's not the only eclipse that we're going to be streaming, but next time it's going to be something different. We've streamed 3 lunar eclipses now, and finally we get to stream a solar one.
That's right. So we've had, as you say, we've had a lot of total lunar eclipses recently, but the next time the Earth and the Sun and the Moon, the next time they come into perfect alignment, it will be at a new moon, and it will produce a total solar eclipse about 6 months from now, July the 2nd, a total solar eclipse where totality will be visible along a very narrow corridor stretching across the South Pacific and parts of Chile and Argentina. We will be showing that live on timeanddate.com.
We will. We'll be there with our mobile observatory, and you and I, Graham, are at least taking time out to be there, aren't we?
That's right. That's right. And we obviously are hoping for much better luck with the clouds there. This is going to be in the depths of the South American winter there in July. But yes, we are hoping for much better luck.
Again.
Right.
And there's also something called a Mercury transit coming up in November, and that's not something we've done before.
Right, that's right. Yes. So this is a little bonus for this year, a transit of Mercury, where we can see the planet Mercury crossing the face of the Sun. It's a relatively rare event. It happens about 13 times every century. It is difficult to observe. You do need a telescope, and you do need a proper telescope solar filter to see it, because Mercury is the smallest planet, so it is very difficult to observe. But we will also be bringing you that live on timeanddate.com. That'll be over the course of 5.5 hours on November the 11th. We will be following the progress of Mercury across the face of the Sun.
But for now, we're going to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in July. And we're going to leave you with some beautiful images from the moon from Ouarzazate. We're hoping to show the moon coming down across towards the horizon, and it might actually change color again and become a little bit red, won't it, Graham? Why is that?
Right. Well, this is for the same reason that the sun can turn a deep reddish or pinky color at sunrise or sunset. It is because the light from the sun is passing through much more of the Earth's atmosphere. So this scattering effect where the blue light is being scattered away. The reason we see a blue sky normally is because we're looking at blue light being scattered to us from above. When the sun is very low down on the horizon and it's coming through much more of the Earth's atmosphere, more of this blue light is being scattered away. So we're being left with the red part of the spectrum. So that's why we have these lovely red sunrises and sunsets. And the same thing happens with the moon. When it gets very low down on the horizon, it can also turn a reddish color. So as we keep an eye on the moon as it's setting in Morocco, because we're coming up to 8 o'clock in the morning in Morocco, so the moon is getting very close to the horizon. It may be turning a slightly reddish tinge again. Nothing to do with the eclipse. This is simply to do with the moon getting down close to the horizon. We can, as we look at the picture now, we can also see around the edge of the moon, we can see that little sort of shimmering around the edge of the moon. Again, this is all to do with the Earth's atmosphere. This moon, the light is having to come to us through a much bigger layer of air as it comes in from very low down near the horizon. And that's giving us that little sort of shimmery effect around the edge of the moon. Earlier, when it was high up in the sky, we had a very sharp edge to the moon. So as we follow the moon through the penumbral stage, we might see that shimmery effect getting stronger, and we might see a slight reddish tinge coming back to the moon again.
And with that, with this moon, and we're going to keep it streaming as long as we can, we're going to say goodbye for now. And goodbye, Graham. Thank you for spending 4 hours with us again. And thank you for everyone that's watching. And make sure to go on timeanddead.com and check all the fun stuff that we have to offer there on our website. So bye-bye.
Bye.